Every year I have gardeners come in asking, how do I keep my hanging baskets looking good all summer long, because they look great until about July, then they kind of start dying off and they stop flowering and they're just not looking as good. And there's a couple different tricks that we can do to keep our hanging baskets looking really nice. So here's a beautiful hanging basket. It's got some different cascading petunias in it and a little bit of trailing verbena. Very pretty, so you can see that right there, kind of a peach, pink and purple combination. Very pretty basket, and it's going to cascade and it's going to trail out at least 2 feet, maybe even a little bit further, but we've got to make sure and give it the right kind of fertilizer to keep it looking good all summer long. So that's really the trick. When we have a hanging basket like this, you want to make sure that it's at least a 12-inch or a 14-inch hanging basket, because the smaller 10-inch just don't hold the moisture through the summertime. So that's something to watch for sure. If you have a smaller hanging basket like a 10-inch, make sure you transplant it into a 12 or a 14-inch basket, because it's just not going to hold the moisture, and it's just not going to hold the nutrient that the plants need to sustain it throughout the whole summer. So definitely look for larger baskets, and they're going to last a lot longer throughout the summer for you. The first thing that we do is we take a season-long type fertilizer like this Garden Coat 6. Garden Coat 6 is made by Ferti-lome. It's a balanced fertilizer. It's a 14-14-14, so it has a little bit of everything in it. So it's got a little nitrogen, a little phosphorus, a little bit of potassium to keep the plants growing and looking good, keep them flowering, and help them pick up and utilize water. But it also has all the micronutrients in it as well, and it lasts about 4 to 6 months. So for a basket this size, which is about a 12-inch basket, we would use about a cap full. So we could take this, fill it up with about a cap full, and just sprinkle it through the hanging basket. Now normally this lasts about 4 to 6 months. In a hanging basket or a planter situation where you have to water almost daily when it starts to get hot, the fertilizer is not going to last that long. It's probably only going to last about half as long as it normally would, so maybe 2 months. So we will make sure, and at least every 6 to 8 weeks, we will add some extra Garden Coat 6 to our hanging baskets to keep them looking really good. So we're gonna do at least 2 applications and maybe 3 for the summertime. So do one in May when we first put them out, one in July, and one maybe the end of August, first part of September, to keep them looking good throughout the summertime. Then we also use a water-soluble fertilizer to keep them blooming and to keep them looking really good, like the blooming and rooting. As you can see, the blooming and rooting has a very high middle number. I'm going to turn this around so you can see a little bit better. It's a 959.8 fertilizer. That first number is nitrogen. The second number is phosphorus. The phosphorus encourages blooming and rooting on plants, and so a high phosphorus will keep your hanging baskets blooming and blooming and blooming and looking really good all summer long. So a product like blooming and rooting is water soluble, so we're going to mix it up and we're going to put it in our watering can. So we take our watering can. This is a 1 gallon watering can. 1 tablespoon of the blooming and rooting. There's a little scooper inside there. We'd scoop it out, put our tablespoon in, fill it up with water, and away you go. One of our best tricks, though, is to make sure and put a little bit of spreader sticker in with it. The spreader sticker is a surfactant. It makes the fertilizer stick to the plants longer and be absorbed in faster, and it also actually helps the hanging baskets or the planters, or whatever you're using it with, helps them pick up that nutrient through the root system a lot better. And then it also helps the water penetrate into your soil and saturate the soil a lot better. So when you're using a spreader sticker like this, it's actually helping the water to stay in your planter longer, and it's also helping the plants pick up and utilize the nutrient better. So we mix the two together. So use about 1 ounce to 2 ounces of the spreader sticker in with your tablespoon of blooming and rooting in the same gallon of water. And then when you're watering the plants, make sure to get it all over the leaves as well as watering the soil with it. And what's going to happen is it's going to bind to your soil, and then every time you water, it's going to help that soil absorb up and retain that water a little bit longer than it normally would. Sometimes when the planters get hot, the soil will pull us away from the side of the planters, and when you water, it just kind of runs out through the bottom. The spreader sticker will actually help it penetrate through the soil faster and saturate the entire soil ball completely, instead of just watching the water run out around the sides and not holding the moisture long enough. So the other thing you may want to take a look at is a product called freeze proof. Now, freeze proof is something you can treat your plants with when you put them out, like your hanging baskets. If you think it's going to freeze, you can take the freeze proof, spray your plants with the freeze proof, cover the tops of the leaves, try and cover some of the bottoms of the leaves as well too. And the freeze proof will actually lower the freezing temperature of the water inside the plant, so that it won't freeze at 32 degrees, but will actually give it 4 to 5, maybe even up to 7 or 8 degrees of added protection if we get a little frost. And so it's a great way to put your very expensive and very valuable hanging plants and planters out and give them a little added protection in case we get a little late frost that's going to do damage to some of our desirable plants. So to keep those plants looking really good through the summer, you got to fertilize consistently. We use our water-soluble fertilizer every week. So we're using the blooming and rooting every week, and sometimes even every time we water, to keep those hanging baskets and planters looking really good. And we'll use that slow release fertilizer at least every 6 to 8 weeks, and it'll keep those plants blooming and looking great all summer long.